When you actually hear those words, you have cancer, and that instant uh, that instant stress that comes upon you, and where you're just, you know, all of the plans that you have for the future are just like suddenly on hold, and you have to stop and focus on the moment. Hi, my name is Joel. I'm a business coach and a restaurant owner and franchisee in central Iowa. I've been married for 31 years. I've got a beautiful daughter named Jordan, and we've had several foster kids that are in our lives that have spent some time in our home over the years. So, in December, I was diagnosed with myxofibrosarcoma, which is a soft tissue cancer. I noticed I had a small lump growing just below my kneecap on my shin, and I didn't think much of it, but I did look it up. I Googled it like most people would do, and found out that it's most commonly just a kind of a fatty growth, and really no big deal. It shouldn't be anything to worry about. And so I didn't really worry about it. And a few months went by, and I noticed it was getting a little bit bigger, but not much. So I still didn't worry about it a whole lot. And then closer to November and December, I noticed it was getting a little bit bigger. So I got to be a little bit concerned. So I went ahead and went to my doctor, and he looked at it and he said, I see a lot of these. And so probably not anything to be worried about, but there is about a 1% chance that it could be, a tumor with cancer. And so we're going to go ahead and do some tests just to make sure. We're going to rule it out. So I had an ultrasound done like the next week, and the whole purpose of the ultrasound, at least in my mind, was to just rule out anything, problematic, so I could just move on with maybe having it removed and go on with my life. But the results came back inconclusive. They couldn't really rule it out, so they wanted to do an MRI. So I went through the MRI process the following week and came back, and my doctor was still a little concerned. So then I started to get a little bit concerned, like, oh, we still can't rule it out. My doctor knew that it was most likely a sarcoma after the MRI, and they were worried that it was urgent, and so my doctor's office wanted to send me to a hospital in Cedar Rapids to have a biopsy and the removal of the tumor. And I have a friend named Steve that is in my Saturday morning men's group that is a doctor at the University of Iowa. And a week or so before that, I had this conversation with him, telling him about the lump on my leg and so on. And he gave me some great advice. He said, "Hey, just so you know, make sure that you're going to see a specialist when doing this, because this particular kind of cancer is difficult to diagnose, and it's really important that you get it diagnosed correctly." And he said, I've got a doctor at the University of Iowa that specializes in this exact type of cancer, sarcoma, and you really need to go to him. He and his team are the best in the Midwest, maybe minus Mayo Clinic. And that advice stuck with me. So when my doctor was going to send me to Cedar Rapids, I suggested, well, hey, can I go see, Dr. Miller at the University of Iowa? And the person from my doctor's office said, well, the University of Iowa is usually pretty slow. We'd like to get it kind of done more quickly if we could. And I said, okay, well, sure, whatever. So after that phone call, I felt a little uneasy. So I went ahead and shot my friend Steve a text, and I told him that. I said, hey, they want me to go to Cedar Rapids because they think it's going to take too long to get into the University of Iowa. And so he said, well, hey, give me a few minutes. And so just within maybe a couple of hours, I got a phone call from Dr. Miller's office saying, hey, we'd like to see you and we want to get you in right away. Well, it's 6 a.m. and I'm just eating some breakfast in what might be the most difficult day of my life. So I'm going to head to the oncologist today to find out some results and what the plan is going to be going forward. Dr. Miller told me, you do have cancer, and it's a myxofibrosarcoma. And he explained what it was. He said it's a very rapid growing cancer, and it can be very dangerous. We need to rule out what this is. And he told me there's 3 grades. There's a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 3. And at this point, we don't know what it is, but we know it's one of them. Grade 1 would be if it's pretty minor and we can just kind of cut it out and move on. Grade 2 would be if it's growing fairly rapidly, but maybe contained within the local area. So it hasn't necessarily spread, in which case we'd have to do a little bit more than cut it out and do some radiation. And then grade 3 would be if it's actually metastasized and spread to maybe the lungs or the lymph nodes. And then the treatment would really escalate to another level. It would be radiation plus, um, immunotherapy and some other things that would be, a lot higher risk and less fun. so, so when I found out it was that, I was rocked pretty good because at that point I didn't know, like, do I have 4 months to live or do I have 20 years to live? So there was that time of uncertainty that was kind of made me numb, myself and my wife. Just we were just kind of numb, like, oh geez, and that uncertainty is unbearable. And I think it's underestimated. I didn't realize what the effect would be when you actually hear those words. You have cancer, and uh, that instant stress that comes upon you, and where you're just, all of the plans that you have for the future are just like suddenly on hold, and you have to stop and focus on the moment. And so that was difficult for me. Now, a few days later, when we actually had the biopsy done, and it was shown to be a grade 2, it was actually a huge relief to us, to my wife and I. It's like, oh, okay, at least we know what it is now. We know that it's contained. The way we look at it is, okay, so you've got a problem. We're going to come in and we're going to fix it, and then you'll be fixed. And if you have a problem again, if it comes back, which it may, then we'll fix it again. And if it comes back again, we'll fix it again. So just know that we're here and we're going to work with you all the way through it. And that is a better way to look at it. It's, instead of looking at the end, we're just taking it day by day. And that was good advice from him. So I really appreciated, the way that he's, helped kind of frame it in my mind. So anyway, yeah, it was a big relief once we found out it was a grade 2, and we knew that, okay, so now I know my marching orders. My treatment plan is pretty simple. I'm just going through radiation. So I started radiation about a week and a half ago. So I go in for about 15, 20 minutes per day, and they stick me on this table with this tube, and it kind of zaps my leg for a few minutes, and then I get up and go. It's pretty non-invasive, and that's really the only treatment I have. I'm not taking any kind of medication or doing any other type of protocol. I'm just basically just trying to keep my the area on my leg moisturized. So that's really about all I do. I apply um, some lotion on my leg every day to keep it from drying out. So that's really it. And right now, unless something becomes worse, that's the only treatment that I'll have apart from surgery later on. I haven't experienced any kind of side effects. I'm told that when I get into maybe weeks, 3 or 4 or 5, particularly, that I will experience kind of a burning, like a sunburn around the area, and it'll be like it could get like a bad sunburn, so I'll have to kind of take care of that. So that'll be uh, the side effects that have been told to me that I will be experiencing. But gosh, the sunburn isn't so bad. The tumor is it's about the size of, like, if you took a golf ball and cut it in half and lodged it under my skin. That's kind of what it looks like. It's about, what is that, about 5 centimeters, I guess. In this case, they don't necessarily expect it to shrink, but they just want to kill it. And so it'll be dead, so it won't be growing. And then once they've kind of gone through the radiation, then they'll cut it out. And they'll have to cut out the tumor, but then also the skin around it. So I'll have a patch around the tumor of skin that will be missing as well. So they'll have to do a skin graft and patch that with skin from a different part of my leg. And it's interesting too. He said that they can't really put put the skin graft like right over top of a bone. There has to be kind of a lining in between that. So they're going to take like a sliver of one of the muscles, one of the three muscles in my calf, and kind of pull it up and cover the bone area, and then put the skin graft over top of it. I thought, wow, how'd they figure that out? Physically, I'm doing fine. I don't feel any pain. I'm still working out every day. I feel strong. So physically, I don't really feel any different than I did 2 months ago, really. So physically, there's like zero, nothing. As far as my emotional health, I'm really fortunate in the sense that I have some great friends around me and great family that some great support. I have all the support I need. I've got a men's group on Saturday morning that I meet with that are just guys that just, care about me, and they're supporting me, and I can share everything with them, my frustrations. I have a great wife that really has a great sense of empathy, and she's just a great person to talk with, and we're close. We're going through it together, and so that's really important. I'm fortunate that in my career I've got some great leaders in my organization that really are just stepping up and running the company here for a little while, and they're great. So I feel very great about that. They're great people, and they'll just run through a wall for me. We've been working together for a long time, and we're like a family. And so from a mental health perspective, I feel pretty good. I'm a Christian, and I go to church and I read my Bible most days, and I find my strength in that. I know that this isn't just a world where I am just living and trying to you know jump to the top of the mountain, and I'm going to die and be buried in the. It's like there's something more here that I'm living for, and so for me, my destiny is kind of already taken care of, I believe. So I'm not afraid of death, and God doesn't owe me anything, so I don't feel entitled or stressed out or fearful about what I may not have going forward as far as time. I think it's important for me to share my story because, well, I know what it's like to be in that, be the guy, the deer in the headlights of not knowing what's going on, and that uncertainty. And that uncertainty can be unbearable. And uh, there's just a lot of people out there that are afraid, and they're scared, and they're not sure what's going to happen with their life. They don't necessarily have any type of assurance or a foundation going forward that they can lean on to give them a sense of peace. And just having people kind of reach out and care and share their story is it just means a lot to people. We're all hurting. We're all suffering in different ways in all aspects of life, whether we have cancer or not. It's like we need each other. We're on this earth for one reason, and that is to have relationships and to build into each other's lives. And I just think it's important that people can have other people to lean on that they can share experiences with. And I understand what it's like to be a male, and I'll tell you, sometimes we're not the brightest, bulb out there. You know, Men, the way we think is sometimes we want to be macho. We want to think we're resilient. We want to think that we can get through anything, and it's uh it's a masculine trait, and it's not always a great one. Sometimes women are just a little bit further along in the maturity in that area. They understand a little bit more of maybe when to take care of themselves or take care of other people. But so I did go through that. Just that time where I'm looking at this lump on my leg thinking, it's no big deal. I'll just tough it out and whatever. It's probably nothing. Well, so I would say, as a man, I would say, you know, we need to be wise, and we need to be smart, and we need to listen to other people's advice too. And when we see other people that might be concerned about us in whatever area it might be, whether it's cancer or whatever else, maybe we should pay attention. Maybe we should pay attention and kind of look under the hood and kind of research it a little bit more and find out, and maybe take that extra step that's necessary, even if our pride or our macho-ness doesn't want to. Sometimes we need to kind of get past that foolishness and kind of do the wise thing. Just the other night, I was kind of laying in my bed and I was kind of putting some lotion on the area to kind of keep it cool. And I'm looking at this lump and I'm just thinking, this is a stupid lump. It's just stupid. There's no value in it. It's just here and I hate it. It just, I can't wait for it to get out of me and not be there anymore. And so it was yeah, it's a frustrating feeling of knowing that there's this cancerous thing and it's inside of me and it can do a great amount of damage and I just need to get it out. So that perspective helps me to do everything I need to do in order to make that happen. So follow the protocol and do the things that the doctors and the nurses ask me to do and just kind of uh, do everything I need to get it out. I have great hope with this disease because it sure beats the alternative. You know, we can feel sorry for ourselves and we can play the victim. We can uh, complain about it. We can cry about it. But in the end, all that's going to do is make us miserable. And so for me, I don't want to spend the rest of my life, whether it's 6 months or 20 years, feeling miserable in any way. There's too many great things in this world, too many great people to have a relationship with and to make a difference with, to waste my time, feeling sorry for myself or letting those negative feelings entertain me, or at least for very long. Of course, I've had some bad days, and having hope helps me to keep those bad days to a minimum. There's still going to be some ups and downs, and you can't just be happy all the time if you have cancer. That's true. But when you have hope and you have an anchor that you can come back to, of knowing that things are going to turn out the way they're supposed to turn out. And for me, a person of faith, I have a reassurance that, when my life on earth is done, I've got something greater to go towards. And that's a great reassurance for me. Don't let any crisis go to waste. And so for me, um, okay, so I know now that I have cancer. So then the question comes, well, what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? Am I going to try to make this experience bring other people down, or can I use this experience to lift other people up? So that's a choice that only I have. And so for me, I guess I would say to anybody is, use what you have and use your situation to help other people in whatever way you can. Bring awareness to something, raise support, or financial resources for whatever it is. Comfort people, hold their hand, talk to them, volunteer your time, whatever it can be to lift the spirits of somebody somehow with what you have. Because we are in a unique situation. Not everybody has cancer. And if a person with cancer can look you in the eyes and say, um, this isn't bringing me down, I have hope, and I still love life, I'm still loving what I'm doing. When a person with cancer can say that, then that means something a little bit more. It means something more than it used to before I had cancer. It's like, oh yeah, you can say that, but you've never been through what I've been through. Well, okay, maybe I have now. So I think it can all be helpful. One thing that I learned about, 30 something years ago for the first time in my life when I was in my 20s was that, and it's a principle I stand on now, and that is that it's not about you, you know, or it's not about me. So life isn't about me. So if I have cancer and I'm living my life, and if I'm living my life not about me, I'm going to think about how I can have an effect. If I'm living my life just it's about me, well, then I'm going to look inward and I'm not going to care about what's going on outside of me. I'm just going to go into my shell. So I would say, use your illness to make a difference.